If you had told me when I was 14 or 15 years old that one day I would be an old school country fan, or that one day I'd have enough Willie Nelson records in my collection to be able to do a showcase, I would have told you you were crazy. I mean, at that time, I was knee deep in Rush and Boston and Led Zeppelin records and Pink Floyd, and I just didn't have time for country music. I didn't think it was very cool. And you get older, things happen, your tastes change, and a couple of things kind of, I lived in Texas at the time. I was in my, I guess, mid to late 20s. I went down to spend the weekend with some friends of mine in Nacogdoches, Texas, and they had a little house on some acreage, and we just had such a great time. And we cooked and we sang. We had bonfires, and man, we listened to music pretty much nonstop. And I used to have a little notebook that I would carry around with me, and I'd write stuff down, song titles I wanted to look up, and recipes and albums I wanted to seek out, and whatever. And man, I filled a page with names of artists that I wanted to find out more about after that weekend. We listened to Billy Joe Shaver and Ray Wiley Hubbard and Joe Wheely and Robert Earl Keen, and of course, lots of Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. And I came away from that weekend, my taste had kind of changed a little bit. And not long after that, I was huge into the grunge thing. I loved Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. And a comp came out called Twisted Willie, and it featured members of all those bands, Screaming Trees and Mudhoney, and no, I don't think Mudhoney was on it, but Super Suckers. And anyway, I heard Johnny Cash and Kim Thale of Soundgarden doing Time of the Preacher. I was like blown away, and realized that all those songs, Shotgun Willie and Time of the Preacher and Bloody Mary Morning and all those, man, those were all Willie songs. What a great songwriter. And then lastly, a buddy of mine called me one night. He was like, "Hey man, what do you got going on? I got an extra ticket for a double bill down at what was called the Oak Mountain Amphitheater at that time. I think these days it's Verizon Wireless. But anyway, the double bill was John Fogerty and Willie Nelson. And man, I was stoked because I really wanted to see John Fogerty. I love CCR. And I don't know if you guys remember or not, but this was the first time in like 22, 23 years that John Fogerty could play his own music for legal reasons. And so I was really happy to see that. And I was pretty stoked to see Willie as well. And man, what a show. John Fogerty was great. And then Willie came out with his family band, and they played for like an hour and a half, took a break, and then came back out and played for like another hour. And then Fogerty came out and they played. It was just fantastic. And I came away from that show, man, just really loving Willie Nelson as a performer, as a singer, as an interpreter of other people's material, as a guitar player. I had no idea that he was that good. So yeah, over the years, I've become a pretty big Willie Nelson fan. And so, it is March 2024. Next month, April, Willie turns 91 years old. And the month after that, he drops his 75th studio album, The Border, loosely based on the Cormac McCarthy trilogy. And that's Willie in my favorite setting, the desert and cowboys and all that kind of stuff. So I can't wait. So what a great time just to celebrate Willie Nelson. We know Willie, we know the red bandana, and we know the braided pigtails, and we know the IRS stories and Farm Aid, and that he smokes a bunch of dope with Snoop Dogg. But if you don't know Willie Nelson's music, what a treasure trove. Okay, and so today I want to go through 10 of my favorite Willie Nelson records, and see how that list matches up with yours, and see what you guys think about it, okay? Number 10, I'm going to start with That's Life from 2021. So, this is the follow-up to 2018's My Way, his tribute to Frank Sinatra. It's fantastic. I love the cover art. I love everything about it. His voice has just gotten better and better and better. There he is on the front cover with Trigger. And these songs, Nice Work If You Can Get It, Just in Time, I've Got You Under My Skin, Luck Be a Lady. I mean, these songs are absolutely perfect for Willie's voice and his playing style. And I love this type of thing. So that's my number 10. That's Life, Willie Nelson. Number 9, we've got A Beautiful Time from 2022. 75th album comes out in May. When this came out in 2022, of course, this came out on his 89th birthday. And, at that age, you're wondering, is this the last that we're going to get? And yet he's put out 3 records since this, and then he's got another one coming. So, but anyway, this is beautiful. It starts off with I'll Love You Till the Day I Die, which was written by Rodney Crowell and Chris Stapleton. But he also covers, as you can see from the pop sticker there, he covers Leonard Cohen and the Beatles. But it's just a wonderful record. It's recorded really, really well. At that age, his voice just sounds like wisdom, and it's a wonderful record to have, and to be at number 9, out of 74 records, that's kind of saying something. All right, number 8, man, I'm a huge Leon Russell fan, and have been for a long time, and I'm a huge Willie fan as well. And this record dropped in 79. Of course, these guys, they knew each other musically. How could you not at this point in both of their careers? But they fell, the friendship started over a love of cars. There was a particular car dealership that Willie would drive up to Oklahoma to shop with, and Leon would meet him up there, and they'd hang out at Paradise and do their thing. But anyway, this record, Hank Williams, I Saw the Light. It's got the cover of Heartbreak Hotel, which was, I think, a number 1 on the country charts for a while. But this is a killer record. Double album set, one for the road. Awesome. Maria Muldaur's on it. Bonnie Raitt's on it. Of course, all the usual suspects, Mickey Raphael, Jody Payne, Paul English, and it's just a wonderful record. Willie and Leon, one for the road. Next up, we've got Whan and Willie from 1978. So, by this point, Waylon Jennings had 3 number 1 records in a row. And going all the way back to the first of those in 77 with his biggest hit that he ever had, Luckenbach, Texas. And, of course, Willie sings a line in that song. And of course, by the time this came out in 78, Willie was a superstar. Outlaw Country was huge. And this album came out. It was number 1, stayed on the charts as a number 1 for quite some time. And of course, it's got Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up. But a couple of things that haven't dated quite so well. The year 2003, minus 25. But man, Gold Dust Woman, The World at Surprise, Don't Cuss the Fiddle, Looking for a Feeling. I mean, it's not supposed to be that way. What a fantastic record that is as well. Stayed on the charts for 126 weeks, I believe. So next up, we've got Shotgun Willie. You knew this was coming. I love that album cover. So 1973. In 1972, RCA tries to kind of force Willie to renew his contract with them by telling him that they're not going to put out any more of his music until he renews. And that doesn't sit so well with Willie. So he jumped ship to RCA, and that's a story in itself, but they gave him a lot more creative control than RCA ever had, Atlantic Records did. and he's able to bring his friends and family aboard. Bobby plays with him for the first time. If Willie Nelson had walked into the offices at RCA and said, well, here, the first line of my new record is Shotgun Willie sits around in his underwear, I don't think it would have gone over too well with the button-ups over at RCA. He comes over to Atlantic Records. He is the first artist signed to the then new country music division of Atlantic Records, and drops this album. And we see it now as a classic. It wasn't a huge hit for him at the time. Shotgun Willie did go to number 17 on the country charts, but some of these songs, Whiskey River, I mean, a lot of these are still parts of his, staple parts of his set to this day. But this is a fantastic record, loose and funky and completely unlike anything else that was coming out at the time, and certainly, I thought, a step in the right direction for Atlantic. Shotgun Willie, number 5. Maybe controversial that I've got it at number 5, but we've got Redheaded Stranger. It's a fantastic record. I love this record. Willie records Shotgun Willie for Atlantic, comes out with another record we'll talk about here in a moment for Atlantic. And then that was pretty much it. Atlantic decided to shut down their country music division. Willie ends up on Columbia Records, who give him complete and total control, artistically, musically, the whole 9 yards. And he turns in this, and everybody knows the story. The heads at Columbia thought that what he turned in was a demo. And they were like, yeah, we love it. Let's go full throttle. And he was like, no, boys, that's pretty much it. And so, they had given him creative control, so they released it. And much to everyone, or I guess not Willie's, but to their surprise, it was a huge hit. So it tells the story of a fellow that murders his wife and her lover and goes on the run from the law. But it's just a beautifully written story. The way that the Time of the Preacher motif kind of runs through in and out of it. You've got the panels on the back that you can look at as you're listening to the music. But this was a huge hit for Willie, and really started to crank his name up a little bit. Okay, 1975, Columbia Records, Redheaded Stranger. Man, I love that record. Okay, number 4. I've got to go with Spirit. I love this record. First of all, I'm a huge fan of black and white photography, and I probably would just buy this as a piece of art. I love that photo. I love the photo of Willie's hand on the back. It's just, but this is a stripped down affair. It's got a little bit more of a classical Spanish type of vibe, which I absolutely love, and that style of music sounds wonderful when Willie plays it on Trigger, his acoustic gut string guitar. But this is a spared down affair. It's got fiddle, piano, and guitar, and that's it. Bobby, of course, plays the keyboards on it, but it's a wonderful record, and it's just recorded really, really well. I wish we could have had more of this type of music, and who knows, maybe we will. He hadn't gone anywhere yet, right? Number 3, I've got to go with Tiatro, and I love this record too. When we talk about this record, so recorded in an abandoned old theater in California, produced by Daniel Lanois. You can't talk about Tiatro without talking about Daniel Lanois, and of course, U2, Joshua Tree, and Emmylou, Wrecking Ball, and his work with Bob Dylan on Mercy and Time Out of Mind. Love Daniel Lanois. Love his debut record, Acadie, recorded really well. He's a wonderful, wonderful producer, and he absolutely shapes everything that he produces, and he does so here. But I love this again. The instrumentation is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and you know, everybody talks about Daniel Lanois and his touch here, but this was recorded and mixed by Mark Howard. And Mark Howard, Canadian Mark Howard, you know, he's worked with everybody from Bob Dylan, the Tragically Hip, REM, Peter Gabriel. I mean, John Hartford. A lot of people that I really, really love. So if you see his name on something, just like Daniel Lanois, you know it's going to be a quality recording. But this is absolutely beautiful. And a lot of these songs are older. Some of these songs go back to like 1961. But it's a beautiful record. And of course, the one cover on here is Daniel Lanois' The Maker. And Willie does a wonderful job with that as well. Of course, this front, that is the movie theater there, and that photo was taken by Daniel Lanois. So, wonderful record, Tiatro. All right, number 2, man. Gotta go with Stardust. 1978, Willie is, I mean, he's hitting, man. Outlaw Country is huge. He's had its success with the Highwaymen and Waylon and the Outlaws record. And he decides to come out with an album of standards. You know, Irving Berlin and Gershwin tunes and stuff like that. And the label, again, kind of scratched their heads, Willie. You know, and again, it's on Columbia Records. They've given him total control. What he's done so far has worked, so they let it fly. This stayed a number 1 on the country charts forever. It is now recognized as an absolute classic. It is easily a 5-star record, and I love it. And again, these songs, Stardust, Georgia on My Mind, Blue Skies, All of Me, Unchained Melody, September Song. It closes with Someone to Watch Over Me. And of course, this was recorded in Muscle Shoals over a 2-day period, produced by Booker T. And the musicianship is fantastic. Several of the Swampers play on the record. And it's just got a wonderful sound. And the material is fantastic. And if you don't own this, you got to rush out and get this. This is Willie at his almost best. So speaking of best for me, phases and stages. I love it. I absolutely love it. And this is another, you know, recorded at Muscle Shoals. It's got the Swampers, 1974. This is his second record for Atlantic. And it's an absolute classic. It's a song cycle about a divorce. Side A is the woman's side. Side B is the man's side of things. Concept album produced by Jerry Wexler. It's a fantastic record. The songwriting is superb. The way that the phases and stages motif kind of floats in and out, just like Time of the Preacher does on Redheaded Stranger. It's absolutely wonderful. And you know, song matter, washing the dishes. You know, you think about you know, a woman there at the kitchen sink washing the dishes and staring out the window and just kind of going through the motions and wondering, you know, what happened to her man and where her man's gone and why did he have lipstick on his collar the other night and that type of thing. And then side B is him flying home and wondering what to expect and what he's gonna find, what he's not gonna find. So it's just a wonderful song cycle. The musicianship is fantastic. It's recorded really well. And the sound just kind of leaps out of the stereo. So again, real quick, just banging through them. Number 1, That's Life. Number 2, A Beautiful Time. Or actually number 9, A Beautiful Time. Number 8, Waylon and Willie. Number 7, Leon and Willie. Number 7, Waylon and Willie. Number 6, Shotgun Willie. Number 5, Redheaded Stranger. Number 4, Spirit. Number 3, Tiatro. Number 2, Stardust. And number 1, Phases and Stages. Man, Willie Nelson, okay? We all know who he is. But if you don't know this music, go check it out. All right? Y'all have an awesome day. Talk to you again.